Hi everyone, it's Vanessa and welcome back to my channel. So recently I realized for all the talk and review I've done on my channel about resorts in Cancun, I've never talked about all the great things to do in the area, and there are many. And quite honestly, a bunch of them have been created with tourists in mind, but also the thing that makes this area such a unique and special vacation destination is that much of what there is to do can be found in the historic and cultural aspects of this area that are hundreds and even thousands of years old. So get ready to check out the old, the new, the most fun, and everything in between as I show you my ultimate Cancun bucket list. Swim with whale sharks. I've talked in other videos about how pretty much every Mexican and Caribbean resort offers some kind of swimming with dolphins excursion. We even did it ourselves on our honeymoon. Pretty boring, won't ever do that again. But swimming with sharks, especially whale sharks, is a much more unique and difficult to find experience. So your first reaction might be, no way, aren't they dangerous? But they're actually very gentle and surprisingly agreeable to swimming alongside humans. And they only eat plankton, krill, and fish eggs, and swim at an average speed of 3 miles per hour, so most of us can keep up with them. Now, the main thing to know is that whale sharks feed around Cancun between the months of June through September, which works pretty well since most people take summer vacations and it's peak honeymoon season. But if you visit outside these months, unfortunately, you won't be able to enjoy this particular bucket list adventure. So definitely a seasonal activity. There's a bunch of companies that provide this tour. I won't mention any specific ones because there are so many, so I don't want to single anyone out. So I'll just say there are many good companies that will have a van pick you up directly from your resort, and they usually head to Punta Sam, just a little south of Cancun, and that's usually where your boat will leave from. Now, some tips for you guys. Don't wear sunscreen. That's not allowed for environmental reasons, and I do recommend wearing either a wetsuit or long sleeve t-shirt, and bring cash to tip the staff. So now for the fun part. It's really like an ocean safari. Obviously you can't predict what you'll get to see or what will happen. Each time is different, but usually in addition to the whale sharks, you'll get to see giant sea turtles, wild dolphins, and even manta rays. The whale sharks can actually be surprisingly shy, so it might take a few hours to find them, so you'll have to be patient. And the nice thing is most companies will offer a full refund if you don't find any. And regardless, it's still a super fun way to spend a day. And you're sure to see some type of unique animal and wildlife along the way. Now, when you do spot them, you'll notice that they're constantly moving. So when you're told to jump in, you'll have to swim alongside them in a way that won't scare them off. But of course, your guides will explain all this to you guys. We always bring our GoPro with us on trips, but the staff has them on as well, so you can just focus on your experience. So a super fun and special bucket list activity, very unique, and I highly recommend it to you guys. Cancun Underwater Museum. This is one of the most interesting museums in the world, located right off the coast of Cancun, but not your typical museum. As its name indicates, it's actually underwater. So, if you're a diver or snorkeler, and honestly, even if you're not, quickly learn so you can check this site out. The museum is divided into 3 galleries, Manchones, Punta Nazuc, and Punta Sam, and they all serve a different purpose. Manchones is deepest at 8 meters and is best for scuba diving. Punta Nazuc is 4 meters deep, which makes it best for either snorkeling or viewing from a glass-bottom boat. And Punta Sam is 3.5 meters deep and best for snorkeling. But overall, the best way I can describe it is half artistic masterpiece and half diving site, made up of 450 incredible sculptures created by artist Jason DeCaires Taylor in order to redirect visitors away from the nearby natural reefs that were getting too much tourist traffic. And it definitely worked, as the sculptures were all made from a special cement mix that's pH neutral and helps to promote reef growth. So it's a great environmental achievement as well. I don't want to give too much away, so you'll still be surprised, but the themes of these collections are really interesting. From a dinner table with food to a, let's call him, generously proportioned man sitting on a couch eating food and watching TV, to a house that even has a bubbling chimney. There's even a time bomb, which is meant as a statement on the environment. So you've got everything from the fun to the truly thought-provoking. Now, something for you guys to know. Your tour is usually 3 hours, and there's just no way to see everything in that time. So you'll definitely have to go more than once. But the good news is, even if you visited multiple times and been lucky enough to see everything, they actually plan to add 10 more galleries, so you'll still get to discover new sculptures in the future. So definitely a bucket list must-do when in Cancun. It's awesome. Visit the cenotes. Now, right off the bat, no pun intended, I'll say this. Unlike most people, I'm not going to say go and swim in them because, are you ready for this? There are a lot of bat droppings. One of my husband's coworkers went there and told us about that little tidbit first, and it's very true. Without getting too graphic, there's poop everywhere, and as a biochemist, I cannot endorse swimming in them for all types of health reasons. But now you're probably all thinking, why did she even put this one on the list? It is an incredibly special place to visit to get a glimpse of the incredible world underneath the earth. So what are they? Essentially a giant sinkhole filled with water located in an underground cavern that's formed when limestone caves in. Add some dangling vines, stairs, and a stalactite or two, and bam, a cenote. There are a whopping 20,000 of them on the Yucatan Peninsula, and I'd recommend the Grand Cenote, which is very popular, located between Playa del Carmen and Tulum, so pretty close to Cancun, and it has a really beautiful jungle setting and beautiful clear blue water. So clear that you can even see the fish swimming, which again, considering what we just talked about, that's saying a lot. So again, it's something that's unique to the area, and even if you just do it once, I think it's something you guys should definitely add to your Cancun bucket list. So now let's talk about the local ruins, because no trip to the Cancun area would be complete without visiting the local ruins, beginning with Chichen Itza. And no, it's not in Cancun, but definitely an easy day trip, about a 2.5-hour drive, and most resorts will help you book a group tour, which is the easiest way to get there. Now you guys know I'll always be overly honest on my channel, even though most people seem to want me to lie, but when you arrive to the site, there will be a small army of local vendors at the entrance, just a ton of them. But keep moving. If you want a souvenir, I'd suggest going back at the end and proceed to enter this incredible UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is over 1,000 years old and is actually the second most visited site in all of Mexico, in large part because of its close proximity to Cancun. So the ruins cover 740 acres, so there's a lot to see in a short period of time. So some must-see things include the Maya Ball Court, which is the largest one of its kind in the world, giving a glimpse into the first organized game in the history of sports. El Caracol, or observatory, was built around 906 AD and was aligned to track astronomical events, specifically around the path of Venus. Then there's the Temple of Warriors, which is surrounded by columns showing warriors, and these columns are divided into 3 sections: the West Group, the North Group, and the Northeast Group, and there are a lot of incredible details to explore. And then, of course, most famously, is the Temple of Kukulkan, located right in the middle of an open court. And a cool tip for you guys: if you visit on either the spring or autumn equinox, both at sunrise and sunset, you'll see a cool shadow effect that makes it appear as if a snake is slithering down the stairs. How cool is that? I won't give too much away, but there are so many numbers and measurements that represent many important things to the Mayan culture, so definitely try to go with a guided tour because you learn so many fascinating things. And then, of course, the other famous bucket list ruins to visit is Tulum, about 2 hours south of Cancun, so a little bit closer, and it truly is one of the best preserved Mayan sites in the world. And the added advantage of this one is it's perched on 39-foot cliffs overlooking the beautiful Caribbean, so a gorgeous location which made it one of the most important centers for trade for the Mayan people. A lot of people like to compare Chichen Itza and Tulum, but they're honestly very different experiences. My tips for this one: go early in the morning to avoid the midday heat as there's hardly any shade, and watch out for the giant iguanas because they're everywhere. And while most visitors just focus on the ruins, the beach is so beautiful and usually opens between 9 and 10 a.m., so be sure to bring your bathing suit and spend some time there as well. And most people don't realize there's a secret option of enjoying the ruins after hours if you'd like to extend your visit. And unlike Chichen Itza, I think this site is better for you to explore on your own rather than in a guided tour. There's guidebooks at the entrance, and you can just cover more ground usually if you set out on your own. El Castillo is Tulum's main pyramid and was used as an ancient lighthouse with 2 small windows at the top, which allowed sailors to navigate the bay. And then there's Temple of the Frescos, which is located in front of El Castillo, and this is actually the most preserved structure at the site. So much so that you can even see a mural with colored paint still intact. Just incredible. The ruins usually take about an hour to 90 minutes to explore, so not that long since it's smaller than many other Mayan sites in Mexico, and I'd suggest another hour for swimming, so a very easy day trip. And while yes, it has become a super popular tourist site in recent years, some people think too much so, but I still recommend it as an incredible bucket list experience you should try at least once when in Cancun. Maya Museum. Visiting a museum might not be the first thing you think of for a bucket list activity on a tropical vacation, but this place is incredibly interesting, tying together everything we've seen so far with exhibits of important Mayan artifacts showing 400 pieces of key sites from around the Yucatan area, ranging from sculptures to jewelry and ceramics, and many of the pieces were even excavated from Chichen Itza. Interestingly, the museum's collection includes over 3,500 artifacts, but there's only room to display 350 to 400 at a time, which means they rotate the displays. So this is another site that even if you've been before, you'll probably see new things next time you visit. One of the most incredible artifacts here is a skeleton that was discovered in the underwater caves in Tulum and is believed to be 14,000 years old. And you also get 2 sites in one when you visit, as your admission also includes the San Miguelito Archaeological Site, which includes dozens of Mayan structures and even a 26-foot tall pyramid. Now, as always, I have some tips for you guys. They will ask you to put all bags in lockers, which they'll provide coins for, so if you don't feel comfortable doing that, it's probably best to leave whatever you can't fit in your pockets back at the resort. They do allow water bottles and cameras, but of course you can't use flash. And the last little tidbit is this is another spot that gets a lot of iguanas, so make sure that you're not so distracted by the sights that you step on one of the little guys. So definitely not your typical museum. Very unique and interesting and worth adding to your Cancun bucket list. Parque Las Palapas, even if it's just for the tacos. If you want authentic Mexico, this is a great place to see the local culture. Located just inside the Cancun city center, right by Tulum Avenue, and 20 minutes from the hotel zone, everything here is so good and so cheap, especially the authentic food stands where you can get drinks for $1, and the tacos are so delicious. Definitely a must try. But there's way more than just food and drinks to try here. So the park is essentially a large plaza, and it has everything from a playground to a performing stage, food court, vendors selling all types of souvenirs and local crafts, so you could easily spend an entire day here without realizing it. My tip: the best times to visit are definitely Friday and Saturday nights, when the park features special weekend events like musical performances, exhibitions, fashion and dance shows. It just becomes a big spot for locals to hang out with lots of activity, and they're also incredibly friendly, so you get the added experience of mingling with them as well. And if you visit on Sundays, you can see everyone gather at the oldest church in Cancun, El Cristo Rey, which is located at the edge of the park. So it gets especially busy on Sundays when everyone gathers in the park afterward. So a great place to enjoy the everyday activities, customs, and culture of the locals. And again, be sure to try some tacos. You'll thank me later. Relax in Puerto Morelos. Everyone talks about visiting Isla Mujeres, and don't get me wrong, it's beautiful and I definitely recommend it. But there's something so incredibly laid back and peaceful about the fishing village of Puerto Morelos, which is one of the oldest communities on the eastern coast of Mexico, located just 20 miles south of Cancun. And, a little known fact, but it actually has some of the most pristine beaches in the area. Just beautiful and perfect for relaxing on the sand and even great for snorkeling and diving. Plus, you'll avoid many of the crowds in Cancun and even in Isla Mujeres. The beach in the center of town is so charming, making for perfect pictures lined with colorful fishing boats, with a pier, and its famous leaning lighthouse. After the beach, give yourself time to explore a bit, as you'll find some delicious places to eat and some great local craft shops and even wonderful bookstores. So while it's not exactly unknown, it's definitely a more low-key place to relax and experience the local life and get some really great pictures and memories of your time in Mexico. So what do you guys think? Did I miss any bucket list musts? Oh wait, most viewers click off at this point, but I told you guys in my last video, I'm going to be adding little surprises at the end as a thank you to those of you who watch all the way through. So, my last bucket list pick is Xcaret Park, located in Playa del Carmen, 37 miles south of Cancun. But there are many buses and tour groups going here all the time, and you can even get a package through them directly that includes door-to-door transportation. So this place is basically part eco park, part amusement park, part zoo. It's got everything you could want to keep you busy. So I'm only going to review the highlights because there's just so much. I could do a whole video on it. And unlike most tourist parks, while this place gets a ton of attention, it actually does live up to the hype. So first of all, you should factor in a good half hour for their aquarium. We've been to quite a few, but this one stands out for its incredible coral reef structures, with over 500 of them, and hundreds of colorful fish, sharks, and jellyfish exhibits, and even a touch pool so you can pet the starfish and sea cucumbers. And that's just inside. Outside, you'll see stingray exhibits, a manatee lagoon, and a sea turtle habitat. And then the next thing you guys need to check out is their bat cave. And unlike most bat exhibits, this one is in a real underground cave. So you have to enter by a long set of stairs and stand in mostly darkness until your eyes adjust. And then look out, because you'll be surrounded. Then there's Monkey Island, which features both spider and howler monkeys, and the best time to see them in action is in the morning and right before dusk, since they tend to hide out during the heat of the day. Smart creatures. One of the best things is their underground river, which winds through caverns and caves, just super cool, and the water is so clear that you can see little fish at the bottom. So set aside about an hour for this activity. And just FYI, before you begin, staff will put your belongings in a duffel bag and transport them to the end of the river for you to pick up. And a tip for you guys. Most of the bags are just piled on top of each other, so if you have any breakable equipment, we always have a lot of recording equipment with us, it's best to just rent a locker for the day so they won't get damaged. There's also a wonderful lagoon right between the beach and jungle. The water is very calm, and there's lots of hammocks and tables and chairs. So this is the best spot to relax if you need a bit of a break, because it's a long day at this place. There are also many cultural activities at the park. They have Mayan archaeological sites, including the St. Francis of Assisi Chapel, which overlooks a Mayan village, and the bay, and you can get some great views and pictures here. And that's just some of what you can do during the day. Now to nighttime. So this is actually one of their biggest draws, their nighttime show, which is 2 hours long and has a cast of hundreds of people showcasing Mexican culture and history with incredibly colorful costumes and lights. It's amazing and shows everything from the time of the ancient Mayans through the arrival of the Spanish, and then wraps up with modern Mexican culture and music. The best seats are in the lower center section so you can see everything, so try to show up a little bit early for those. And because it's so popular, you can buy tickets just for the nighttime show. But I think the park is great, so I think you should try to enjoy the whole experience. So as you can see, it's a big park with a lot to do and lots of walking, so wear comfy shoes, and also make a list of your must-see attractions, because chances are you might not get to see it all in one day. And bring water shoes for the river. Unless you have tough feet, those rocks at the bottom do hurt. And honorable mentions to 2 other great parks, Xel-Há and Senses. I won't get to them today, but stay tuned because I definitely will at some point. So Cancun is a lot more than people think. It's not just all resorts and tourist traps. Sure, there's a lot of touristy things to do, but there are also many wonderful cultural and nature-centric experiences that are unique to the area and are definite must-tries. If there are any bucket list musts that I left out, please let me know your faves, because just like you guys, I'm always looking for new things to try. This is Vanessa for Passport Pages. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye, guys.